Hi all, in this lecture we are going to have a small introduction to natural language processing. So in this we're mainly going to see about why we go for natural language processing and what are the major applications and other issues which are involved in natural language processing and why do we need this. So this is what we are going to see in this lecture. So let's get started. So the major agenda for this session, as I told, why NLP, the major terminologies, the applications and the different NLTK packages and everything using Anaconda prompt. So the major, and so natural language processing is basically a subset of AI, right? So everybody nowadays hear about AI, artificial intelligence. So natural language processing is actually a field of artificial intelligence. But can we say that it is only part of artificial intelligence? No, it is actually part of computer science, and it is also part of computational linguistics, okay, and it's also part of information engineering. It's also part of information engineering. So these are the four different major fields that NLP actually covers into. And then comes what are the goals of NLP. So why we go for NLP? So NLP basically deals with such problems where it could be like speech to a text problem, or a text to a text problem, or image to a text problem. So it could be any kind of problem which is related to the text to image, or vice versa, right? Any kind of problem. So where we can actually make a computer understand a language. So that is our whole aim, okay? So we have a machine or we have a system which is actually built by a human, right? So that system or that machine should be able to understand the different linguistical capabilities and linguistics of languages. I mean, like the language related stuff, right? And how can we do that? Actually, it is basically possible by engineering the data. Say we are getting, say I'm talking to you in English. So this is a bunch of data which is actually in English language, right? So I should be able to take up all those data and connect it with the real-time applications to help people understand. So how can we actually use this particular data? By analyzing the data. So if I analyze the data, I could make out something really new or important or informative from this whole of this data and use those insights for betterment of my applications, right? Maybe giving back to the society. So this is how, these are the major goals of NLP, right? So the scientific goal is like, make a machine understand language, and the second one about the practical goal is that we have to get various insights from this particular data which is pouring in onto the machine, and we need to make different useful real-time applications to help people. So there are various chatbot applications. There is no limit in that. So these are some of the applications. The first one which you will know is about the ChatGPT itself. Right, the ChatGPT. There are different type of chatbot applications which are very well used, and where even people think like they cannot live without, kind of. And email filtering, the spam messages, the language translation. There are different type of applications. We will see a few in the next few slides. So the first major application is basically the conversational agents. So I don't think is there any person who is not using Google Home or Siri or Alexa at home. Even if we are not using, I hope our kids will be using them very commonly. And I could also see that a lot of people are actually using Google Assistants in order to note what they have in their meetings, and their to-do list and everything is actually maintained by GAs, Google Assistants. So conversational agents are basically kind of a common thing which we could see. And the first time when I was hearing about this conversational agent, I could see one day I was just seeing that my mom, I mean like 2 to 3 years before, when my mother, who is not so well versed in mobiles at that time, now I'm learning from her, so that's a different story. But still, when I was asking her about, she is talking to the phone, so I was just asking her, to whom are you talking? I was telling like I don't have to type anymore. Google have already provided me this voice search option, and she was searching for something, some devotional kind of stuff by talking to the Google. So I was thinking like, oh my god, so mama doesn't need me anymore for any talk, I mean like any talking purposes, she already got a friend. So this is how the life and the age moves on, right? So however, so conversational agents are becoming an important predominant part in our life. So this is all where it started. I mean like there is something called HAL 9000 or which is used in the Space Odyssey film. So where the scientist, I mean like the scientist computers, okay, they are basically controlling the system of Discovery 1 spacecraft, and they are actually interacting with the aeronaut crew. So this is the first time which is actually showed in the history about a chatbot, right? And then the next one is about the Tay. Okay, Tay is basically thinking about you. Tay was also an artificial intelligence chatterbox, which is actually released by Microsoft Corporation. But Tay was suddenly forced into the market, but later because of the lack of enormous training, Tay started giving out a lot of offensive tweets and comments, and it became a very very important issue, and they had to shut down the bot immediately. So this is also one of the famous chatbots called Tay. So thinking about you. So nowadays if you see ChatGPT gets its training by itself. I mean like so many people are basically using. So one part of the ChatGPT, I mean like it is actually getting trained with the GPT-3 algorithm on one side. At the same time you have a premium access, which this training is actually passed over to your next algorithm, right, which is the GPT-4. So if you want more access for the premium contents and premium level chatting, then you need to go for GPT-4, right? That means the premium ChatGPT. So but this training is basically used for training that model as well. So but at that time when Tay was introduced, this option was not available, right? So that was one of the issues. So it was lack of initial training, they have to shut down it. And then comes the virtual assistants. You know about the Alexa, Siri, as we have just told, right? So I mean like say the virtual assistants are just part of our life, and they learn to understand our commands. So I still remember my engineering project which I have done using the AT&T commands like voice over IP. Okay, so when I look back and see, it's almost like in 2006 we did that particular project, voice over IP, and we were communicating, right? So that was actually kind of something which we did basically. But nowadays the things have grown in such a manner that there is a device which talks us back and give us advices and give us reminders, and kind of a very important part in our life. So the next one, so apart from the conversational agents, the next one is actually machine translation. So when it comes to machine translation, you know that nowadays we don't fear to go to a new country, right? Because when we go to a new country, it's important that we just make sure that we have Google Translate. So if somebody is speaking, we can actually understand, and converting the language, if you want to speak, it is fine. So all those things are basically possible for us because of the Google Translate, and which is a pure NLP algorithm which is actually used. It is text to another text, linguistic to linguistic conversion, which is actually it's happening, which is 100%. And I have seen a lot of friends in GCC countries who are predominantly doing the Arabic text to English text conversions, and text to maybe so this kind of a great area of research where people take the Arabic text and convert them into their transliterations, right? And the Google Lens is another example. So Google Lens basically takes the image and extracts the text from the data, from the image, and it is actually used for searching. Life is Beautiful is taken and it's used for searching, right? So this is from my mobile itself. Okay, so this kind of data is basically, these are all like NMT, that is neural machine translation, and which is actually part of the natural language processing. Then there is translation and transliteration. So translation we have also already seen, right? So transliteration is basically like you are converting, right? You are converting the text into another language, right? So it is not like in translating completely, but you are translating by preserving the meaning also. So it is alliteration. So you know that how people actually translate a particular say the main devotional scriptures and all into another language, right? So maybe if we have God, you will not say it as a God in another language. Instead, you will use the word of the God itself in another language. Getting my point? So that is nothing but transliteration. So God, Allah, right? So you will call like that, okay, or Jesus, so like that. And then comes email filter. So email filters is very important application, like the fighting spam. You have to say if you get an email, this has been a feature which has been there for ages nowadays, because whenever the Gmail came into the picture, I think this is already there. So I was thinking about, I haven't heard about this word spam. I still remember like, what is this? So I should not open this spam folder itself, because if I open, something will grab my computer. So I had this feeling initially long back. So it is also a normal supervised algorithm. It's a binary classification. You're just classification into either a spam or a ham, or we will see all this in our classes as well. Next comes information extraction. So in information extraction, basically we go for processing the body of the text, right? And we have to mine it for getting better insights. Say Barack Obama was born in Hawaii. So Barack Obama was born in. So this kind of, we are creating different triples. So you will see something called n-grams. Well, that means Barack Obama was born, Obama was born in. So you will take like that as bigrams or trigrams or something like that, and you will understand the meaning. You will try to understand the context. So you're trying to extract the information. It's kind of a feature extraction which happens there for getting better insights from the textual data which you have. And stock market prediction, right? So where you have this stock market prediction data. So it could be from the tweets or the reviews, or maybe some websites itself, where you have to gather the data and extract the important ideas, whether whether the stock market price will be increased tomorrow or like that. So that is also an information extraction. Then comes summarization. So summarization, as you all know, like every day we see the summarization in our life. The news summarizations are, many of us basically use this short news, right? We don't have time to read the complete news, right? So we basically go for, we don't read newspapers anymore. We have small pieces of news which comes according to our which come to us in a personalized way. So I'm a hardcore Google News reader. So where I basically try to personalize it in such a way that I need diversity, at the same time I want my narrowness as well. So key phrase extraction, so the sentiment analysis, right? So all those things basically comes as part of your text classification or summarization. So movie reviews, right? So you would have seen about all this. If you go to the Netflix, or if you go to the Amazon Prime or wherever it is, if there is a film, its review is actually given in 2 or 3 words. So it is easy for us to know, and there is a rating which is associated with it, which gives us a complete idea about how this is all about. Then question answering. The first question answering one is IBM Watson. So basically IBM Watson actually won against Bram Stoker, right? So it was the Watson and Jeopardy challenge, where he actually won against Ken and Bart, right? So like Ken and Brad. So against the humans who were supposed to be the best human computers in the world at that time. Then another example is about the predictive analytics. So one basic example for predictive analytics is about how Obama won in the elections by using the technique of uplift modeling by Eric Siegel. So in that, basically, if you look at this picture, there are so many things, right? So I mean, like you have do not disturb and lost causes, sure things, and persuadables, right? So what in the Obama's election, what they did is that they have actually completely converted this whole set of data. Say there are Republicans, there are Democrats which follow, right? So but what they did is that they actually divide this whole set of people into four different parts, where there are did not disturb. I mean, like they will definitely vote for Obama, so it is better not to touch them because we are sure about they will vote for them. And there is a certain set of people who cannot be disturbed. I mean, like say if I am nudging them, then they will say that, oh, these people are actually trying to persuade me a lot, so better I'll vote for my opposition leader, right? So such kind of people. Then the other thing is the lost causes. I mean, like, see, we are opposition team, so we are not going to vote for you, right? So such people, it is not necessary. There are certain other people called persuadables, where the people are like, should I vote for Obama or should I vote for I mean, like maybe with a small nudge, they will actually vote for Obama. So in Obama's elections cases, he won twice. So this is for the strategy, which is actually this is one of the strategies which they use for election campaigning. So they didn't touch any of the other people, they just touched this persuadables, okay, and that just made. So this is how did they, so our point here is like, how did we actually classified this persuadable? So this is as we engineers are concerned, this is a multi-class classification problem. So we have lot of data related to the people and their preferences, etc., and from those preferences and from those voting preferences and how they have actually done, and according to the previous informations, we have actually classified the data in such a way that we understood this is the persuadables. So we did artificial intelligence analysis by using various algorithms, of course, and there requires a lot of NLP related algorithms to understand. And then we identified this persuadables, and they have actually looked over to only this small set of people who is persuadable. So that made a big win for Obama. Now comes the sentiment analysis, which you all know. So it is mainly the emotion detection, could be reviews, right? So I mean, like whether it is positive, negative, or neutral. So, and it could be emotion detection, right? So it could be from the text. So from the text, we are mainly considering from the text. And the Twitter analysis, yes. So that is also a bigger challenges, because when something happens, people tweets a lot. So we need to know whether the tweet is basically a negative tweet or a positive tweet. So this is our final superstar, right? So nowadays, without ChatGPT, yes. So this is a common, I mean, like a common comedy which is coming. So developer is coding for 2 hours and finding out, and ChatGPT is coding within 5 minutes, and the developer is actually taking 6 hours to 24 hours to debug the code which is actually generated by ChatGPT. So this is common comedy which is basically used. So next comes the text analytics use cases. So text analytics use cases, when you see, there are so many text analytics use cases. So manufacturers, any field if you take for that course, say government, financial institutions, retail, legal, healthcare. So anywhere if you want to do some text analytics, you can basically take text analytics to be done. So these are the major applications which we have seen till now. Now we will move on to what are the major issues that could be there in NLP. So why we deal with issues is that because in whole of our NLP we are trying to overcome these issues, right? So that's why it is very important for us to know that what are the issues for when we are dealing with the NLP. So the first one is word sense disambiguation. So word sense disambiguation is that you have to understand the sense of a word, how it is actually used in the sentence. So the context, right, of a word in a particular sentence, the meaning, how is it is going to actually contribute to the meaning of that whole sentence. So this is small example, hang him not, okay, leave him. And the second one is hang him, not leave him. So when you look at these two sentences, what could you understand? So there is only a simple difference between the sentences, that is a comma. I mean, like the placement of the comma is the only difference in the sentences, but the meaning has got that much of difference, right? So this is the kind of the difference that will cause. But as humans, by seeing them, we are able to understand what it is. But how are you going to make a machine understand this and make them understand the relevance of this sentence? Okay, through the coding, through programming languages, through algorithms. That is what we are going to. So word sense disambiguation is one of the major problems of NLP, right? So knowledge and speech processing. So the next one is language processing. Basically requires, we need data processing applications, we need language processing applications, so we require a lot of knowledge for the language. And but when it comes to the language, there are so many things which we have to, because for a language there is a structure, okay. So for definitely, if a language has got a structure, the language processing will also has to be structured. So there is something called morphology, syntax, semantics. So whenever somebody is asking you about the what are the language processing states which NLP has to go through, you should say this, like morphology, syntax, and semantics, pragmatics. Okay, so what is each one of them? So we'll just we are not diving deep into all this. So morphological structure of a human body is the anatomical structure, right? In the same way, so the study of the meaningful components of the words is basically called singular, whether it is a singular, whether it is plural, whether it is adjective. So that kind of a learning will help us to understand about, or it will contribute more onto the context. Then syntax, definitely the structural relationships of the words and the grouping of the words once upon a time. So it comes just like that. So there is a syntax which is associated with that. Then semantics, which is nothing but the study of the meaning. Then pragmatics, like how the language is basically used, right? So the way, the accent, how the speaker says, and what the listener is going to listen. So whenever during the chat, we always end up in this problem. You chat something to your girlfriend and she interprets that in a different format, and everything goes into trouble. I mean, like, say you said that, then you will say that no, I didn't mean it, I said this in this way. So you have to converse to make things work. So that is pragmatics. Then phonetics and phonology is all about your sounds, okay. So the speech recognition, the transcription agents who are working, the medical transcriptionist, so the hacker, the voice tapping. So all those things basically comes in phonetics and phonology. And the scores is nothing but the utterance, the sounds, like oh, that's great, woo-hoo, right? Some such kind of words which the machine will not be able to understand, right? So such kind of thing is basically called as a discourse. So these are all certain problems, or it's not like a problem, these are all challenges which language processing has its own, because all these things has to be fed into the system by us as we humans, right? So what are the major problems in NLP? So always people say that NLP is hard. Why? So NLP is basically hard because of two things. One is the ambiguity, the confusions, right? So the confusions the machine can have, right? Or the clarity the machine which does not have is nothing but ambiguity. And the next one is basically the context. Okay, so what is this context? Yes, I need to know about the context, how it works, right? So that's really, really important, how it is actually, where it is actually used. I need to know that is actually context. So when you see about ambiguity, there are different type of ambiguity, like lexical ambiguity, language ambiguity, the vagueness and everything. So lexical, as its name says, it is the structural. Lexical, it's always structural. Semantic, which is always the meaning, right? So lexical, like say if I'm saying a term, wills, will, right? So I mean, like, hello, come on, we humans find it very difficult. So then what's the case of machines, right? So that's a case of it. So which will is which will? So whether will is a verb or a question, or whether it is a name, or whether it is a noun, or this will is a different person or the same person. So we need to know all this, right? So this kind of a big set of ambiguity which you have. Then rows to put, rows, right? So that means in speech, just imagine that if you are speaking to someone about this, it's very difficult. then buffalo, 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 buffalo. So which buffalo is the buffalo, which buffalo is the place, which buffalo is it an animal, right? It's very difficult for us to understand, right? So for a human itself, it is very difficult to interpret. And the other thing is about the language ambiguity. It is mainly about the structural ambiguity. Say the man saw the boy with the telescope. Man saw the boy with the telescope. So how are you going to interpret this, right? Flying planes can be dangerous. It could be flying planes can be dangerous, or flying plane can be dangerous. So I mean, like flying itself could be dangerous, right? So these are all the difficulties if you have in structural ambiguity. So there is always some imprecision and vagueness which always associates and brings a lot of ambiguity to the NLP, the textual processes. So when you say I could say, why is the teacher wearing sunglasses? Say the student is asking. So I'm saying like, the class is so bright. Okay, it could be because of the sunlight, or see, as you're all good, I mean like the students could be so bright that the teacher is wearing I mean like, see, the bright, that word bright can cause different meanings, right? And then stolen painting found by tree. So stolen, maybe the stolen painting is found by I mean like near a tree, or maybe a person named tree, right? So these are all the ambiguities in question answer. So imprecision and vagueness can be one of the main process. So this you could do later. And then, so how can we deal with ambiguities? So that's a question. So that is whole about your whole NLP process itself. There are different ways that we could deal with. So first one is lexical disambiguation. So you have ambiguation, so what do you have to do? So you need to postmortem that and make it into disambiguation, right? So make it into parts of speech, or make it into in a word sense disambiguation by, I mean like by understanding the meaning of the words. Then syntactic disambiguation, say usage of pronouns. Say Sini is taking class, she is giving a big lecture, right? So that she is referring to the Sini, which is actually basically part of the previous sentence, right? So you should be able to understand that. So as humans it is easy for you to understand, but how will you make a machine understand? That is the biggest problem, right? So for that probably you might use something called parts of the speech tagging. So don't worry, so we will see all of this in detail in the next class itself, as we are going in a fast track phase. So the man, it's a noun, okay, the boy, it's a noun. So like that, we are actually keep dividing a whole sentence and making sure that each one of them is its corresponding structure, mapping to its corresponding parts of speech. Then comes a major thing called context. So what did you cook for Mary last night? I made her duck. So did you make a plaster duck, or did you make a duck roast or something? Okay, so we need to interpret and understand the language in the context in the real world, according to what the application that we are actually dealing with. So we need a context which is around to understand what is the meaning of the words which has dual meanings or multiple meanings. And how can we do that? This is the last portion. So how can we do that? Yes, we can definitely do that with the help of models or algorithms. So we have finite state machines. You would have learned long back in bachelor's, like finite state machines. Finite state machine is, it's like state chart diagram. Say from the state 1 it gets a particular input, it has to go to the next state. So we have a particular diagram which basically shows about this complete system. And then comes rule systems, like this we will use very regularly. It's regular expressions. We will not be learning about the regular expressions in detail, but as and when we require it, we will actually use it and learn it. That's how we are planning for our course. They are called as the rule based systems. And logic, predicate calculus, I mean like if something happens for every this one, like that. And probabilistic models like Markov model, we will learn that. Vector based models, we will learn that. Machine learning models, we will learn that, right? So these are all the different ways that our course is all about. So tomorrow if somebody is asking you, why did you learn NLP? So what you would say? So you should say that NLP is basically a field of artificial intelligence, computer science, linguistics and information engineering. So it's not only artificial, because this is something which people normally shows. No, it's not only artificial intelligence, it's for computer science, AI, It's linguistics, because linguistics is a major part of NLP and information engineering. You have to extract the features, you have to represent the features, you have to use the features in such a way that you get better insights, right? And how are you going to get this? Yes, you are going to get this by using, so what are the major problems? As there are a lot of linguistics coming in the picture, you have a lot of ambiguities, and you do have a lot of contextual constraints which comes in the picture, which makes the machine more challenging to understand the languages which they deal with, right? So how can we deal with that? Yes, we do have a lot of methods and algorithms and models available to deal with that, so that we can make this whole process easier, and we can get beautiful insights or informations out from this whole process of going through this. So this is what we are going to learn in NLP. So rules, it could be rules, or it could be supervised learning. Not only supervised learning, we will also learn a little bit of unsupervised, but it's mainly supervised, because we are mainly looking upon the text classification problems. Okay, so this is what we are going to learn in NLP, right? So hope you got a glimpse about what are we going to do in NLP, right? So in the next class we will move on to the next topic, which is nothing but text pre-processing. How can we actually deal with that? So I'll talk to you about the different steps in this whole natural language processing, and we will go step by step, right? Hope you understood this section, and if you have any confusions or doubts or anything like that, you can always get back to me. Thank you.